Hello, everybody, and welcome into this week's 30 Minutes program. It's my pleasure to introduce the Attorney General of West Tennessee, a man that cares greatly about the people of West Tennessee and the state of Tennessee. And he is the Attorney General. Mike Dunavant is our guest today. And, General, first off, I'm glad that you're here. It's been a while since you and I have talked on the radio. It's been several years, as a matter of fact, and you have been tabbed by the office of the president to be the Attorney General here for West Tennessee. And again, congratulations on that. That's a big deal.
Thank you, Paul. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be back with you. I think I was last here maybe in 2018 with you.
What is the Attorney General? What does he or she do?
So actually my position is the United States Attorney for the Western District of Tennessee. I'm appointed by the President and confirmed by the United States Senate. And I am, in that role, I serve as the chief federal prosecutor for the entire district. That includes all 22 counties in West Tennessee, from river to river, from Kentucky to Mississippi. And so I'm the chief federal prosecutor for any crimes that occur in that jurisdiction. And I am the chief legal representative of the United States for all civil matters in the federal courts in Memphis and Jackson, representing the interest and protecting the United States Treasury. And so it is my job to both collect debts that are due and owing the United States and to defend and represent the United States as a party whenever anyone wants to sue the United States government. I am America's lawyer for that purpose.
What makes you wanted to become an attorney here in West Tennessee?
Well, gosh, Paul, I've been practicing law here in Tennessee for 31 years now, and I began my career in my hometown of Ripley in Lauderdale County in private practice. And I came out of law school and came back home, had a general practice there in Lauderdale and Tipton and Dyer counties, kind of in that area. And
were you that guy in the school that you always had your nose in a book? And because you strike me as being someone that really loves to learn.
Well, yes, I'm as much as I do, in fact, like to learn and to read and to study. It certainly did not come to me naturally. I'm not one of those gifted and brilliant people who can just succeed without much effort. I had to study at it. I had to work at it, but I was certainly glad to successfully get out of law school and pass the bar. And
well, I'm going to go back to Ripley for a minute.
Yes,
so Lauderdale County, wonderful people there, and then you went to college where?
I got my bachelor's degree at Tennessee Knoxville. Got my law degree at Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm. And that's when you started your private practice firm, and then
that's correct.
How in the world did you become the Attorney General for the United States of America, West Tennessee?
Well, it's a bit of a unique story in the sense that I kind of did it backwards from the way that it traditionally happens. As I said, I came out of law school and went into private practice, where I ultimately ended up doing quite a bit of criminal defense, where I was representing and defending criminal defendants in rural West Tennessee area in state court. And I did that for about 11 years, from 1995 to 2006. And about that time in my career, I decided that I wanted to do something to serve my community, to serve maybe on the other side of the courtroom. And so in 2006, I ran for and was elected as the District Attorney General for the 25th Judicial District, which included Lauderdale, Tipton, Fayette, Hardeman, and McNairy counties. And I knew at the moment that I became the district attorney, I knew when I became a prosecutor that this was what the good Lord had for me for my career. Mm-hmm. And since September 1, 2006, I've never looked back. I've always been a prosecutor or worked in prosecution offices or in government public service.
2 presidents have said, we want you to be the guy in West Tennessee. How does that feel?
Well, it feels very good, in fact, and it's quite remarkable. I don't know if you know this or not, but I am the first and only person in the history of this district since 1790 to serve as the presidential appointee twice. Mm-hmm. So I had to go through nomination and confirmation twice, once in 2017 and once again in 2025.
Is that political or not?
Yes, it's a political appointment. Yes, yeah. But I always like to say that it's a healthy mix of merit in politics, in the sense that you have to demonstrate to the president and to the United States Senate that you are capable of doing the job as a lawyer, as a prosecutor. And I felt like I built that merit up in my service as district attorney at the state level. And then, of course, you do have to have political relationships and understand how to navigate that process with relationships in both the executive branch and the legislative branch. Mm-hmm. Yes.
You have been back to West Tennessee, Northwest Tennessee recently, and it involves a horrible situation that you have your eyes on. And we're talking about the loss of a Weakley County deputy sheriff and someone that obviously is incarcerated right now. How did you feel when you learned that there was a deputy or a police officer, and it doesn't make any difference, but somebody that is there to hold up the law and was taken down and executed?
Well, just like everyone else in this community and across West Tennessee, I was heartbroken, right? It's devastating, not only to the family of Derek Bonham and to Sheriff McDade and his department, but this entire community and really this entire region. You know, the Department of Justice, one of our highest priorities is to protect and support law enforcement. And anytime there is an officer who is killed in the line of duty, we take it very seriously. We react immediately. We offer our support by federal resources to the local and state officials who are investigating and prosecuting those matters. And that's exactly what I did. And so I certainly wanted to reach out to the family and let them know my concern. And
you attended the funeral?
I did. It's important for me to be there to show, again, my sympathy and my support and to, in whatever way that I can support with our resources, whether it's the FBI or the ATF or our prosecutor's office, we support the local district attorney's office and the sheriff here to make sure that justice is achieved, that all of the truth is able to come out, and that we're able to deter and punish that type of behavior.
Did you, when you came in, did you pass by the crime scene? Did you kind of get a little chilly, maybe knowing that this happened just 5 minutes away from where you and I are sitting?
Yes, sir, I did. I thought about that as I drove in today, and actually I'm spending the day here meeting with other law enforcement leaders across West Tennessee, and it was in the front of my mind. Obviously, coming here, I'd come over to Greenfield earlier last week, and coming back to be with you today, and it's one of those things where we always are sad and upset about it, but it's something that I'm constantly thinking about as we work to protect our law enforcement officers at all levels, federal, state, and local. Yes.
What role do you play, if any, right now in this case?
Right now, as I understand it, the matter has been charged in state court here in Weakley County by Colin Johnson, your district attorney general. I have spoken to General Johnson and his team. I've also spoken to Sheriff McDade and also the TBI, who I understand were the investigative agency on this. We lended our support, and I made offers of, again, federal resources to make sure that we are capturing all the evidence that needs to be done. But ultimately, this is a state investigation and a state prosecution. If we can in some way look at additional federal charges that might apply, we'll do that. But at this time, right now, we've not made that decision.
Tell me about the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump. What kind of person is he?
Well, I've now served for this president twice. I served in the first Trump administration, and I'm so thankful to President Trump for nominating me and appointing me to come back a second time to serve West Tennessee.
He could have appointed anybody.
That's correct.
Why did he come back and appoint you? You'd have had your time.
Well, I'd like to think that, Paul, I'm really proud of the service that I did from 2017 to 21. You know, we were effective in reducing violent crime across West Tennessee, holding drug traffickers accountable, aggressively prosecuting child exploitation cases. And so I was very proud of my record. I indicated to the president that I had some unfinished business in this district, and I wanted to come back and see that through. President Trump is wonderfully supportive of law enforcement. He is a law and order president. He wants to protect our district, our cities, the American people, He wants to support law enforcement. And so I think that he and I get along and see eye to eye on those matters. And of course, Memphis and West Tennessee got his attention. And we have been the beneficiaries of a lot of federal resources coming into West Tennessee as a result of that. So the president and the attorney general, Pam Bondi, are very supportive of us here. I'd also like to think that perhaps the president chose me because there's really no learning curve. I'd done the job before. I came back in. I knew exactly what needed to be done immediately. And so we're acting with some urgency to tackle violent crime, drug trafficking, child exploitation, all types of fraudulent schemes, things like that.
Does the president ever call you?
He does not himself call me. I do have communications with White House counsel and White House liaisons. I do talk to the attorney general and the deputy attorney general in Washington fairly frequently, especially about the current operation going on in Memphis, the Memphis Safe Task Force. I was with the president in person about 3 weeks ago in Washington. The United States attorneys had a conference there in D.C., and he came over and addressed us and met with us all at that time. So I was able to speak with him then.
You just joined us. We're talking with the United States Attorney General Mike Dunavant with us today. His office is in Memphis. And speaking of Memphis, what's going on in Memphis with all of the news that people have talked about? And sounds like, based on what I have read, ICE is doing a very good job of bringing people out of the woodwork.
So yes, Paul, we're very pleased and proud of the work that we're doing since October 1. So at the end of September, President Trump signed an executive order, and the name of the order was Restoring Law and Order in Memphis. As you may know, unfortunately, over the last few years, Memphis had become ranked the number one violent city in America per capita based upon rates and incidents of rape, robbery, murder, and aggravated assault. And that is something that got the president's attention. Senator Blackburn and Senator Haggerty, of course, also alerted him to that. And after he launched the operation in Washington, D.C. to kind of target violent crime in that city, the very next city that he wanted to address was Memphis. So he created the Memphis Safe Task Force, which is a task force made up of 31 federal, state, and local agencies, including all of the federal component agencies like FBI, ATF, DEA, U.S. Marshal Service, Homeland Security, and they came to Memphis, and they are engaged in hyper-vigilant policing. We are engaged with them in aggressive federal prosecutions, and really a saturation of the streets of Memphis to target violent and repeat criminal offenders who were driving that crime rate up. And that operation launched on October 1. That's now been going on for about 4 months. We have increased our federal prosecutions about 300% since that time. And here's the good news, Paul, is that violent crime in Memphis has been cut in half. Violent crime and murders are down anywhere from 45 to 50% in different categories.
Why is that? What is going on that has dropped it?
Well, we've made a lot of arrests. So since October 1, the Memphis Safe Task Force has made a total of 5,985 arrests. That includes 973 illegal firearms seized off the streets of Memphis, 593 known gang members arrested, and 148 missing children located. And so this is a whole of government approach where we are coordinating with our partners at the Highway Patrol, the TBI, the Tennessee National Guard, the Memphis Police Department and Shelby County Sheriff's Office, along with all of the federal agents. And it is really just a targeted response to incapacitate and arrest those crime drivers. We call them crime drivers, people who continue to be arrested, get back out on bond, and are shooting and killing our citizens in Memphis. And so the federal government has something to say about that, and has something to say about the regulation and prosecution of firearms offenses. And so we have really ramped up our firearms and violent crime prosecutions, and we're able to incapacitate and hold those people. And as you hold people and you send them to prison, that crime rate naturally goes down.
Tell me about the blowback. Memphis doesn't like ICE in some cases.
Well, and let me make it clear, Paul. You said ICE. Certainly, the Department of Homeland Security investigations and Immigrations and Customs officers are on the streets of Memphis as part of this task force. But this is not an immigration task force. Immigration is not our problem in Memphis.
People think that it is.
I understand. But you understand that federal law applies in every square inch of this district, including right here where we sit and including the streets of Memphis. and the laws of Congress will be enforced. I took an oath to faithfully execute the laws of Congress, and that includes all of the laws, including violent crime against carjacking and robbery and shooting and immigration. But the president specifically designated this as a violent crime operation. But when and if officers and agents of this task force encounter people who are not lawfully in this country, they will be taken into custody, and we will enforce that.
Some of the Memphis council members didn't want this.
That's correct. But as it turns out, much of the success of this task force can be attributed to the good working relationship we have with the Memphis Police Department and Mayor Paul Young, who, while they may not have wanted this in their city, have been cooperative and coordinated with us in, again, the violent crime aspect of this task force to make sure that because make no mistake about it, people know this, Memphis has struggled with chronic violent crime for decades.
Can I use the word Orange Mound? We just had a murder there recently.
Yes. And so I think what you're seeing is the people of Memphis, while some local politicians may not like it much, the people themselves are finally getting the relief that only the president could bring through this massive operation and these wonderful resources, and it's working. It is driving down violent crime. Calls for service to the Memphis Police Department since October 1 are down 21%. Calls for shots fired down 53%. Part 1 crimes, rape, robbery, murder, aggravated assault, down 47% since October 1.
I've never asked this question, but Did you ever, and I'm very sincere and I'm not making this up, but do you ever get in the car and just drive around in those places that people don't like to go? And
Yes, of course. We are making Memphis a safe city again, and that's the president's order. And the president has been asked, and the attorney general have been asked, and I've been asked since we started this October, is when is it going to end? And you know what the president's answer is? It will end when Memphis is completely safe. So this task force is here to stay, and it's working because we are removing the bad so that the good in this city will flourish. And we cannot be afraid to walk around the streets of our own city. It's a gem on the Mississippi. It is a wonderful cultural and economic driver of West Tennessee. And yet it had become this chronic violent crime haven where there's a culture of criminality and these lifestyles of lawlessness. And that's what we are cleaning up. And the people of Memphis are finally figuring out that they don't have to live this way. And so I'm incredibly proud of the success of the task force being led by the U.S. Marshal Service. We are proud to partner with our law enforcement agencies to accept their cases for federal prosecution, where we can aggressively prosecute and incarcerate the worst of the worst: gang members, drug traffickers, trigger pullers, child exploitation. All of that is being removed from the streets of Memphis and being sent to prison. And that naturally allows the good people to feel good about living in their city again.
Is it safe to say to you that part of the problem, a lot of the problem, may be how we raise our children? Yes, sir. No, sir. Please, may I? Thank you. Showing respect. You know, the great grandmas, I would normally say grandmas, but I think great grandmas and grandpas probably got more out of their children, their grandchildren, their great grandchildren, because they showed them how to be good. Well, but you don't have that anymore.
I certainly think that there's a cultural aspect of this new generation of younger people who are committing criminal offenses, perhaps, who don't respect the rule of law. And one of the things that we want to make sure that we're doing in the Department of Justice is promoting public respect for the law and encouraging people to abide by the laws, and that we are a nation of laws, and that there will be a consequence for violating that law. And I think perhaps that's been lost in some generational transition.
Well, we got things that you got to go through the buzzer before you get into school, and you got all these police officers everywhere. In the old days, you just went to school.
Yes, sir. And I would say, obviously, it's become a much more dangerous world that we live in. There's a lot of challenges and threats out there.
That's why we're where we are today.
That's correct. But it's our job to make sure that we're taking on those threats. We're establishing the rule of law. We're holding people accountable, and that we're creating, by our work, safer communities. So let me tell you, if you don't mind, let me tell you a couple of follow-ups to the Memphis Safe Task Force as we go along, So it's very easy for me to talk about numbers of arrests or crime rates or numbers of indictments that we're filing and the sentences that we're getting. And that's what I do all day long, and that's important. But it is important that the people of Memphis and the people of West Tennessee, quite frankly, understand and perceive that crime is in fact down and that their communities are safer. Because number one, the old saying, Memphis sneezes and West Tennessee gets a cold, right? This entire region goes as Memphis goes. And so I'm always trying to capture and understand the dynamic of the community as we free it from this chronic violent crime and how people are perceiving it. But let me tell you some non-traditional metrics that I've just encountered. Number one, the Shelby County Clerk's Office reports since October 1, since the beginning of the operation, a dramatic spike in vehicle registration applications. Well, that's because our friends at the Highway Patrol, who are working on the task force with us, are making significant number of traffic stops in Memphis to enforce the rule of law. And of course, when we make those traffic stops, what do we find? We find illegal guns, we find drugs, we find all types of contraband for which we're sending people to prison. And so as a result of that, everyone in the community understands that you have to be lawful with your vehicle registration. That's called promoting the rule of law.
Number two, the Memphis Shelby County Schools reports a significant drop in chronic absenteeism and truancy during the first fall quarter of the school year, from October to December. So we got more people driving lawfully and more children in school. When you start enforcing the law aggressively, without exception, and you show that you'll hold people accountable, you know what happens to a community? People start getting themselves lawful. They start actually abiding by the law, and that promotes safety and community. Number three, we just hosted in Memphis the annual St. Jude Marathon. I'm sure you're familiar with it, right? First Saturday of December every year. This year, 22,000 runners descended on Memphis. 22,000 people came to our city to run in that race to raise money to cure childhood cancer. What could be more noble than that? And St. Jude is an important community partner in Memphis and West Tennessee. Last year, when those runners came to town in 2024, there were a rash of car burglaries. That is, people who came to our fair city from out of state and out of country were victimized by auto burglars. Well, that's certainly discouraging. Makes people not want to come back to Memphis, right? Perhaps some of your listeners don't even want to go to Memphis now. A lot of people are still going to Nashville.
That's right. And so I want to encourage people to tell them Memphis is becoming safer almost overnight. We have turned a corner and make a difference. Would you like to know how many car burglaries we had on December 6th of 2025?
Yes. How many?
0.
You're kidding.
0. Entire downtown area where the St. Jude Marathon went, because we had such a presence of law enforcement there. It works to deter, incapacitate, and hold people accountable. And the last one is maybe the best one of all. I called over and got some statistical data from Le Bonheur Children's Hospital. So every child that suffers a gunshot wound in Memphis and across West Tennessee is treated at Le Bonheur Children's Hospital in Memphis, right? Now, a child suffering a gunshot wound is terrible, absolutely terrible. But I wanted to know what impact the task force might be having on driving down the numbers of those gunshot wounds. So for 2025, through the period of the task force, the total number of children treated at Le Bonheur Children's Hospital for gunshot injuries is 31% lower than the same period in 2024 and 38% lower than that same period in 2023.
That's incredible.
Now, I know that correlation doesn't always equal causation, but something special is happening in Memphis with this task force. We've driven down violent crime by 45%. We're lowering childhood gunshot wounds by 38%. We're cleaning this up, and so I want to encourage everyone in West Tennessee, come back to Memphis. Come down to the Grizzlies game. Visit it. Feel confident about the fact that this task force is still there doing the work every day, making the arrest, and we in the U.S. Attorney's Office are serious about enforcing the rule of law and removing the bad so that the good will flourish, so that development will happen, so people will quit leaving the city.
Don't forget the Pink Palace and Elvis Presley.
Absolutely.
Just thought I'd say.
Absolutely, yes.
We are getting close out of time, but Attorney General, I just want to say to you about how many people work where you are. How many people do you have under you? that are doing the jobs that you can't do all of it. I mean, there's no way you can do all of it. You get some of them.
So I work with a staff of 85 employees. And of those 85 employees, 45 of those are attorneys. And they are divided between our Memphis office and our Jackson office. I don't want everybody to forget, we prosecute cases in Jackson as well that cover this part of the district. I have an outstanding staff in Jackson at the federal courthouse there. And so we are doing work both in Memphis and Jackson and across the district because we want to enforce federal law uniformly. We want to make sure that everyone's protected. So I have 45 lawyers. And I will say that for purposes of the task force, the Attorney General and the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, got together, and they have deployed an additional 20 military lawyers to Memphis to support the work of our prosecutor's office in those new arrests under the task force.
Things aren't getting lost, is what you're saying.
Absolutely not. We are capturing and making sure that we're not missing any opportunity to prosecute gangsters with guns, drug traffickers, people who are victimizing people.
General Dunavant, do you have problems, and I'm very sincere, do you have problems going to bed at night worrying about a case or a kid that got killed or whatever? I mean, I know you to be a man that takes these things very, very seriously.
I take them very seriously, and maybe the better way to say it, Paul, is I take them personally. I do worry a lot. I do think about these things a lot. I think I've spent a whole career thinking about and working in public safety. And it's almost as if every violation of law is a personal affront to me. I'm aggrieved by it. And it hurts me so much because I want to protect people. And I've said this before public, and I'll say it again on this radio show. Most people that we know in our lives, in our families and our friends, most people generally show love in the positive. I phrase it that way. That is, we love each other by pouring into each other and being generous to one another and giving them something, giving part of our happiness, or trying to build people up. And that's certainly noble, and I'm a man of faith, and I always want to show love as much as I can in the positive aspect. But the good Lord has given me one skill, and the one skill that he's given me is actually what I focus on, and what I'm actually good at is loving in the negative. And when I say that, I don't mean that in a negative. I mean that I show love by taking away the things that are hurting people. So I spend a lot of time thinking about ways that I can remove the threat, the harm, the victimization, and I can use my skills and the power of the United States government to make sure that I am loving this district and the people in the negative by removing the things that harm them. That's what I stay up at night worried about, yes.
If you've just joined us, we're wrapping it up here today with the United States Attorney General Mike Dunavant. His office is in Shelby County and also in Madison County. And if you have a question about anything, don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call somebody who can get him in touch with you in the event that there is an event that you need help. And I know this all goes in front of local lawyers and officers and so forth when you have some things to deal with. But I do know your staff is great. And I got to say one word about Cherie Green. Is that
yes, Cherie Green. She's fantastic.
She is one person that will make sure you get a phone call. So, anyway, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
This has been very, very helpful, and I think people understand Memphis better, Memphis and Shelby County better because of what you have been able to do and the team that is in front of you and behind you working so hard to get Memphis and West Tennessee to be its very, very best.
Well, thank you, Paul. And again, I want to encourage your listeners, if there is anything that we can do at the U.S. Attorney's Office to assist you, please call us. We'll get you in touch with law enforcement to respond to whatever there is concern. And we want to make sure that we are a full-service office, and from Memphis to Paris, from Savannah to Lake County, right, everywhere in between.
That's our program for today, and hope you've enjoyed listening to the United States Attorney General Mike Dunavant. And this has been 30 Minutes. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This program was pre-recorded.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.